So today topic is the registration. Correct? So before starting, you please simply tell me if I am supplying the goods. If I am supplying the goods, then what is the threshold limit for taking the registration? If I'm supplying the goods, then what is the threshold limit for taking the registration? Please bifurcate that if I am making the intrastate supply and if I am making the interstate supply. Please bifurcate in both the part and then give me the answer. Next part is if making the supply of the service, then what is the threshold limit interstate and intrastate? 3-4 question, kindly give the answer and then we will start our discussion. Okay. Inter and intra, both. Supply the goods and supply the services, both. Sanjay. Right. Yogesh, fully agree with you. And Samyak, okay. Fine. ठीक है. So, if I am supplying the goods within the state, then limit is 40 lakhs. If I am supplying the services within the state, limit is 20 lakhs. If I am making the interstate supply for the goods, it is mandatory registration. Meaning thereby, you cannot make the supply without taking the registration. And services, same limit 20 lakhs. Correct. So, if I am making the interstate taxable supply the services, then is it mandatory registration or limit would be applicable? Is it mandatory registration or limit would be applicable? Interstate supply of service. Samyak, I hope my question is clear, na? Interstate supply of the service. Samyak, reconfirm that still your answer would remain same. Fine. The answer is in the November 2017, they've issued the notification that in case of the services, you can make the supply through e-commerce operator. October 17, they've issued the notification. They say you can make the interstate supply the services. Doesn't matter. The limit would remain be applicable. It means without taking the registration, I can supply the services through e-commerce operator. I can supply the services from one state to the another state. Still 20 lakh would be applicable. I hope this part is clear to all. एक बार confirm करें, then we'll start the section 22. Is it? I think it is simple, very simple. Whatever you have told, I have just followed that only. Nothing special. Correct now? So let's read section 22, subsection 1. ठीक है, ठीक है. It says that every supplier shall be liable to be registered under this act in the state or UT other than special category state from where he make the taxable supplies. Underline the word. If from any state you are not making the taxable supply, even though your aggregate turnover exceed threshold limit, sometime question comes, I have the registered office in one state. I do not make the taxable supply from that state. But in other state, I am doing the manufacturing, I have the factory, I have registration. Do I need to take registration in the state where I have only, do I need to take the registration in the state where I have only registered office? The answer comes no. If you are not making the taxable supply from a state, you can take the relaxation from the section 22 subsection 1. Every supplier shall be liable to be registered under this act in the state or UT other than special category from where he make the taxable supplies if aggregate turnover exceed 20 lakhs. If aggregate turnover exceed 20 lakhs. So सेक्शन का रिक्वायरमेंट अभी भी 20 lakhs का है. Now they have given the multiple proviso first. In special category state, it is 10 lakh. Now, second proviso. They are saying that special category state has the power to increase the threshold from 10 to 20. 10 to 20. It means they cannot increase to 40 as of now. They are saying that government may, at the request of the special category state, enhance the aggregate turnover from 10 to 20 and subject to the condition as may be notified. Provided also government at the request of the state and on the recommendation of the council enhance the aggregate turnover from 20 to 40. State, अब किसकी बात कर रहा है? वो स्टेट की बात कर रहा है. State can increase the aggregate turnover from 20 to 40 in case they are engaged exclusively in the supply of the goods as may be notified. ठीक है. Taking one example, you give me the answer. I am doing the supply of the goods within the state. Limit would be 20, 40, 10. I am in normal state, not the special category state. The limit would be 40 lakhs, right? Correct. Now let's say I have the fixed deposit in my bank account on which I am earning the interest. Interest is my supply of the goods or supply of the service? Interest is my supply of the goods or supply of service? इंटरेस्ट क्या है? गुड्स है कि सर्विस है? supply the service. The bank interest will be added in the calculation of 40 lakhs or not? Bank interest will be added in the calculation of 40 lakh or not? Just asking. See, I am asking the two question, point to be noted. मेरे दोनों क्वेश्चन को थोड़ा सा आप अटेंशन दीजिएगा. It is important. Let me see if there is any space. एक मिनट. I'm asking two questions. I'm only supplying the goods within the state. I'm only supplying the goods within the state. Amount is 38 lakh. I am getting the interest, let's say 1 lakh. First is 4 lakh. What is my aggregate turnover? What is my aggregate turnover in this case? Geeta, Sanjay, Yogesh has given the answer. So you are saying 38 lakh. Okay. So fine. Now second question. Let's say it is 1 lakh. It is 1 lakh. So because interest is a supply of the service, can we say that this person, Mr. A, is exclusively engaged in the goods? And therefore the limit is 40 lakhs, or he is making the supply the goods and services, therefore the limit is 20 lakhs. Which one is the correct? Option A, option B. You tell me. Question number 1, you have given the answer. Whatever the answer, I will discuss in some time. Question number 2, I am asking whether Mr. A will be still considered exclusive supply of the goods and he can enjoy the limit of the 20 lakhs, 40 lakhs, or because he is getting the goods as well as services, therefore we cannot say that he is exclusively engaged, and therefore limit would not be 40, main basic limit, the 20 would be applicable in this case. Okay, so Geeta is saying option A is correct. Yogesh is saying okay. Okay. Sanjay, Samyanathan. Geet, आप last, Geet, you were not there. Geet, sorry, Geeta Kalidas Patel. Okay. Yes, he can enjoy the limit of the, what is goods plus services? G plus S means goods plus services. Oh, sorry. Mother goods and services. He is not exclusively engaged because he is making the supply of the goods as well as services. So limit would be 20 lakhs. You tell me. I'll not tell you. You tell me. This is my supply the goods and I have the bank fixed deposit on which I am receiving the interest. You decide. So correct. Within a state. Within a state. Correct. So first I have assumed that they are making the intra-state supply ठीक है. The point is it will always added in the aggregate turnover. So aggregate turnover would be in this case 39 lakh, and the prior example wherein I have told you 4 lakh. So the aggregate turnover is 42 lakhs. There is no doubt. It will always be added. Now the question number 2, even though he is receiving the interest, which is outward supply of service. Correct now, because I'm getting something, that is my income. Income is outward supply. Expenditure is inward supply. Income is outward supply. Because I am getting the interest, which is outward supply of the services, but still I will be considered as exclusively engaged in the goods, and I can enjoy the limit of the 40 lakhs because it is written in the proviso. Because it is written in the proviso. Now, which proviso? Let's read that proviso. The proviso says, not proviso, explanation. For the purpose of this subsection, a person shall be considered to be engaged exclusively. Matlab, it's saying that it will be considered. Actually, he's not exclusively, but still it will be considered. When it will be considered? If he is making the exempt supply of the service. All? No. Not all exempt supply the service. It says that by way of extending deposit, loans, or advances, insofar as the consideration represented by way of the interest or discount. So now they have limited the scope that if you are getting the interest, which is exempted supply of service, outward exempt supply of the service because I'm getting the interest, still this person will be considered as exclusively in goods, and the limit of the 40 lakh would be applicable. Please note, this explanation does not say that it will be added or it will not be added in the aggregate turnover. No, this is not saying. It is simply saying, that you will be considered as supplying goods exclusively, even if you are receiving the interest income. Fine. Every person who on the immediately preceding the appointed day, that is starting July 117, is registered or hold the license under existing law. So excise duty, sell tax, service tax, etc. shall be liable to be registered under this act. Where the business carried on by a taxable person registered under this act is transferred, whether on account of the succession or otherwise. Now they are saying transfer of the business to another person as a going concern. The transferee or the successor, as the case may be, shall be liable to be registered with effect from the date of the transfer or succession. So it says that even if the business is transferred, then also the recipient, new entity, transferee has to take mandatory registration even though the supply is below 20 or 40. The limit would not be applicable. Subsection 4 says notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 1 and subsection 3. 1 and 3, they are overriding. In case of the transfer pursuant to the scheme or arrangement for amalgamation, or as the case may be, demerger of the two or more company pursuant to the High Court order, the transferee shall be liable to be registered with effect from the date on which ROC issue the certificate of incorporation, giving effect to such order of the court या tribunal. Clear? So, if the business is transferred on account of succession or otherwise, or amalgamated, merger, demerger, then he shall be liable to be registered with effect from the date on which ROC issued the certificate. The explanation says that aggregate turnover shall include all supplies made by the taxable person, whether on his own account or on behalf of the principal. Now, in the law, you will learn this principal word in two aspects. One is in principal job worker, that is in explanation 2. One is principal agent. One is principal agent. Anyone can tell me, is there anything written in the schedule 1 with respect to principal agent? Is there anything written in the schedule 1 with respect to principal and agent? क्या लिखा हुआ है बताएं. What is that? What is that? क्या लिखा हुआ है? Supply of the goods between principal and agent is considered supply even without consideration. मतलब क्या हुआ, प्रिंसिपल और एजेंट के बीच में अगर कोई सप्लाई होता है तो देन इट विल बी ट्रीटेड एज ए सप्लाई. किसका? उसी का, एजेंट का. करेक्ट. इवन विदाउट कंसिडरेशन. दैट वाज रिटन in the schedule 1 because we know schedule 1 is applicable even without consideration. Here we are talking about registration ka requirement. It says that it shall include all supplies made by the taxable person, whether on his own account or on behalf of the principal. Correct. And then it says that supply of the goods after completion of the job worker by a registered job worker shall be treated as supply of the goods by the principal. Now treat. It says that even if on behalf of the principal, it will be treated the supply, included in the supply of the taxable person. तो यहां पर वो किसकी बात करते हैं? प्रिंसिपल एजेंट की बात कर रहे हैं. और यहां पर क्या बात कर रहे हैं? जॉब वर्कर और प्रिंसिपल की बात कर रहे हैं. So it will never be treated the supply by the job worker. It will always be treated by the principal. And the value shall not be included in the aggregate turnover of the job worker. What is the meaning of special category state? As referred to the article 279A clause 4 subclause Z, except Jammu, Arunachal, Assam, Himachal, Meghalaya, Sikkim and Uttarakhand. Now, what is the meaning of aggregate turnover? Sorry. Aggregate turnover means we will add all taxable supplies all exempt supply, all export, interstate supply of the person having the same PAN to be computed on all India basis. But we will not include GST part and the inward supply liable to payable under RCM. Now give me the answer. Now give me the answer of couple of doubt question. I have two registration in the GST. One is in Delhi, one is in Maharashtra. In Delhi, I have two place of business. One is in, let's say, ITO, and one is in, let's say, CP, Kannada Palace. Now, Delhi has made the supply to the outsider customer of rupees 20 lakhs. They have made the stock transfer from Delhi to Maharashtra, let's say 10 lakh rupees. From ITO to CP, they have made that 10 lakh rupees. They are receiving the interest income of rupees 2 lakh. Now tell me, what is the annual aggregate turnover in this case? I'll take a small example, 1-2 example, and then I will ask to clarify the doubt. Okay, then we'll move further. In this case, the 20 then to 2030. Oh, Yogesh is saying 32 lakh. Okay, and rest, all the participants are saying 42 lakhs. There is two doubt which I have asked. The first doubt, very simple, whether interest will be added in the aggregate turnover or not. Answer is yes, because it includes exempt supply. Saminathan, we have already considered that interest will be added in the aggregate turnover. There is no doubt. Only point, for counting the limit of the 40 lakh, interest will not be considered. That is the only exclusion. No. Why so? See, hence not required. In this case, my question is, I mean, aggregate turnover interest will be added. Okay. Okay. So, Saminathan, tell me, all tell me. So, second out, let me clarify second out. The transfer of the goods between ITO to CP, will it be added or not? Most of the participants saying it will be added. Now, is it a supply? Is it a supply? are they having the two different registration for ITO and CP? You all are going to the schedule 1. If I'm not wrong, schedule 1 is using the word distinct person. एक बार confirm करें whether schedule 1 is using the word distinct person or not. Whether schedule 1 is using the word distinct person or not. Using. And what is the meaning of the distinct person? We will understand here also, and otherwise you also know. 25 subsection 4 says one pen but multiple GST number. Multiple GST number. Location Delhi and location Maharashtra is distinct person, no doubt, because they have the one pen but multiple GST number. But whether ITO and CP are two different GST number, whether ITO and CP are two different GST number, no, they are added in the additional place of the business in Delhi because they are not distinct person. Because they are not distinct person, because not having the GST number different. Therefore, this will not be treated as supply. This will not be treated as supply, and therefore double ATO annual aggregate turnover will be 20 lakhs, 10 lakhs, and 2 lakhs, 32 lakh answer. Is this clear or any doubt? Please ask. Select everyone name. Select everyone name. So that I can see. So I'm not required to go to every person chat. I can see in everyone. Correct now? Now tell me. Now last important question I'm asking. Be careful while giving the answer. In this case, can he take the benefit of the 40 lakhs and not required to be registered? Can we say that he is not required to be registered? He is not required to be registered. Different question. They are registered already. That is okay. Now I'm asking in this case, can they choose not to be registered because turnover is below 40 lakhs? Can we say select everyone name while giving the answer? Kindly select everyone name. Delhi is not a special category, so the 40 available. Registration required. Okay. 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 So in this case, the limit of the 40 lakh is available for intrastate supply or for interstate as well? Whether limit of the 40 lakh would be available for interstate supply or only intrastate? Limit of the 40 lakh will be available to intrastate supply only. To intrastate supply, inter के लिए it is mandatory. Supply of the goods from Delhi to Maharashtra. Supply of the goods from Delhi to Maharashtra is the supply as per schedule 1. And because it is a supply, is it inter or intra? Delhi to Maharashtra, is it inter or intra? The answer would be inter. And therefore, in this case, it is mandatory registration. In this case, it is mandatory registration. He cannot take the benefit and not to register. He cannot take the benefit of the 40 lakhs. He has to take compulsory registration because it is interstate supply. Am I clear? Very, very nice question. ठीक है. Fine. Mr. A is making the two type of the supply. taxable supplies under FCM, forward charge, normal charge. Limit is turnover is 38 lakh within the state. Goods, taxable, all taxable. And certain goods are being supplied by him which is taxable at RCM, reverse charge basis. So let's say Mr. B has supplied the goods to Mr. B, Mr. A has supplied the goods to Mr. B. So Mr. B will pay the tax on this 4 lakh rupees. Now tell me, in this case, the turnover of Mr. A is 20 lakh, 40 lakh, is 38 lakh or 42 lakh? What is the turnover, annual aggregate turnover? First, absolutely correct. But we are talking about now, it says that it will not be included. It will not be included. Then what is that? It clearly says now it will not be included. Correct. It will not be included in the hand of Mr. B. When we calculate the turnover of the recipient, like in my example, Mr. B, then we will not add 4 lakh. Value of the inward supply for Mr. A. Is it an inward supply or is it an outward supply? Answer is outward supply. Answer is outward supply. Inward will not be included, absolutely correct. But for Mr. A, it is an outward, therefore, it is an outward, therefore, it will be added. Now, I have the two more question on this. What is the impact on ITC in the hand of Mr. A because of this supply? मिस्टर ए के हाथ में आईटीसी का कोई स्पेसिफिक प्रोविजन विड बी एप्लीकेबल और नॉट? टेल मी, will any specific provisions be applicable in the hand of Mr. A or not? In the hand of Mr. A, is there any specific ITC provision which will be applicable just because of the RCM supply? No answer. Common ITC reversal as per the rule 42-43. Common ITC reversal will be calculated as per the 42-43. Question number 3. Question number 3. Assume that the supply of the goods is 30 lakh and the RCM is 4 lakh. It is goods. It is goods. So, because of the RCM supply, whether Mr. A is required to take registration because of the RCM supplies, it is mandatory. Is it mandatory for Mr. A? Is it mandatory for Mr. A to take a registration because of the RCM supply? Why? RCM does not cover under mandatory category. RCM does not cover under mandatory category of registration. Whether RCM covered under mandatory category or not? Answer is yes, it is covered. But which RCM? Which RCM? Inward RCM. Inward RCM. So when we talk about Mr. B, Mr. B required to take mandatory registration. Why? Because there is some RCM supply. Because there is some RCM supply on which Mr. B is required to pay the tax under RCM. So when we talk about section 24, clause 3, which says that RCM it is mandatory, but which RCM? Outward ki inward? Inward. So the 24 is applicable on Mr. B and not on Mr. A. Is that clear? Okay. Fine. Let's move further. Notification section, notification number 10 by 2019, it says that exempted any person who is exclusively engaged in the goods and whose aggregate turnover in the financial year does not exceed 40 lakhs. The before insertion of the proviso, which proviso talks about exclusively engaged in the goods, the notification was issued. It says that it exempt any person who is engaged exclusively in the supply of the goods and whose turnover in the financial year does not exceed 40 lakhs from the requirement to obtain a registration. Person who is required to take compulsory registration under section 24. Person who is required to take compulsory registration under section 24, that we will talk about. In that case, the 40 lakh limit would not be applicable. If he is engaged in the ice cream, pan masala, tobacco, fly ash bricks, etc., then he cannot take the benefit of the 40 lakhs. Now tell me one thing. Suppose if I am doing the if I am doing the ice cream, supply of the ice cream, then within the state, I am making the supply of the ice cream within the state. What you would say? Mandatory registration, 20 lakh would be applicable or 40 lakh would be applicable? What is your answer? Is it mandatory or is it 20? Is it mandatory or is it 20? The answer is 20. Why 20? Because this notification says that extended benefit of the 40 lakhs, extended benefit of the 40 lakh would not be applicable in the below cases. So because ice cream, these items are not covered in the section 24. These items are not covered in the section 24. Correct. Therefore, the enhanced limit will not be applicable. These items are not covered in section 24. Therefore, we cannot say that it is mandatory registration. See, who tells the mandatory? Section 24. Is it covered in that 24? Answer is no. Then whatever the limit which is applicable in the 22, subsection 1, that limit will remain applicable on these items also, pan masala, ice cream, etc. Only point that government has given the extended benefit of the 40 lakhs, that will not be applicable on these items. Mr. Rajesh, do you agree with this? Rajesh Nayyar. Any question anyone can ask at any point of time. Person engaged in making the interstate supply, intrastate supply, Arunachal, Uttarakhand, Meghalaya, Sikkim, Telangana, Puducherry, and special category state, section 22, that is Nagaland, Mizoram, Manipur, Tripura. Person who has opted the voluntarily registration, obviously then limit will not be applicable. So now, these are the 4 special category state: Mani, Mizo, Nagaland, Tripura. then state with 20 lakhs ka limit for goods as well as for services. The third category, these state where the threshold limit of 20 lakh for the supply the goods or services and the threshold 40 lakh for the supplier of the goods. ठीक है. So if they are exclusively engaged in the goods, then 40 lakh would be applicable. If they are engaged in both, then 20 lakhs. Now we are moving to the compulsory registration. Give me 3 example or 4 example which you can recall where the supplier has to take mandatory registration as per section 24. कोई भी 2 या 3 याद करके मुझे आप बताइए. एनी 3, 4 जितना भी आपको याद आ पाए. So ब्रिक्स मतलब ईंट बट्टा. So bricks, matlab, there could be some material which is being used for making the bricks. Yeah, there could be some material. So if I Google it, you will find in detail. Just Google it, you will find the details. But otherwise, this is simply means the, I can say, the raw material or something like that. Oh, great. Geeta Oidar, ECO, fine, correct. Sanjay, RCM, correct. Casual taxable person, TCS, TDS, ECO, correct. Saminathan, that part amalgamation, merger, demerger, that correct, but it is based on the section 22, subsection 3 or 4. ठीक. Yogesh is saying interstate, RCM word, NRTP, and e-commerce operator. Absolutely correct. RCM, NRTP, ISB. Okay. ठीक है. Now, person making the interstate taxable supplies, whether it is written goods or services, whether word goods is written, whether words goods or services, anything has been specified. I'm asking the question because you know the basic concept. Very nice. So I like to ask further in detailing whether they have specified the goods. Then why you are saying that interstate taxable supply of the goods? Why you are saying the interstate taxable supply of the goods? By notification. Now, do you know what is the problem? Do you know what is the problem? How you can say that that notification override the section 24? How you can say that that notification override the section 24? You know why you can say? Just letting you the reason. This word in 23 subsection 2, this word was added later on. This was not there since beginning. This was not there since beginning. It was added later on. And you know, see, earlier language was not having this word, whatever I am underlining. Meaning thereby, whether the notification which is issued in 23.2 will override 24 or not, there is no clarity in the law. There is no clarity in the law. Rather, I should say, as per the law, it is not overriding. As per the law, it is not overriding. Then what they feel, government feel that by this, whatever you have issued the notification, that is problematic. All become redundant. Why? Because section 24 says interstate taxable supplies. That's it. It is not saying goods. It is not saying services. Therefore, it is applicable on both items. Now they like to make the notification which is issued in 23.2 override the 24. How it can override? They have made the amendment and written this particular part. Once they have inserted this particular language, then we can say whatever the notification issued in 23.2 will see the multiple notification. We'll see the multiple notification. That will override even section 24. मतलब क्या हुआ? अगर कोई नोटिफिकेशन इश्यू हो गया 23.2 में, then you will ignore the 22.1, you will ignore the 24. Now one more interesting part. ये वाला वर्ड भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. Anything to the contrary contained in 22.1 or 24. What is the contrary? I am giving you one example. What is the example? Notification says 65 I am talking about, that you can make the supply through e-commerce operator. Yeah, initial notification 10/2017, October 17 ka notification, which says that you can make the interstate supply of service. Limit of the 20 lakh would be applicable. Who says? Notification says. Now coming to the section. What section says? That interstate taxable supply. That's it. Now the notification says only services, not applicable, mandatory, but section says it is mandatory. Are they contradicting to each other? Yes. Are they contrary to each other? Yes. Why? Because section says whether you make the supply the goods or you make the supply the service, in both cases you need to take mandatory. Whereas the notification says that in case of the services you are relaxed. Are they contrary? Answer is yes. Who will prevail? Notification will prevail. and therefore we can say the interstate taxable supply of services is not covered in the section 24. Is this clear? Now I am telling you one more point. Now I am telling you one more point. If I am making the interstate supply and my turnover is below 20 lakhs, do I need to take registration or not? Very simple question I have asked. Very simple question I have asked. I am making the interstate supply, the service turnover is below 20 lakh. Do I need to take registration? No. Now says that this particular service, let's say it is a chartered accountant, it take the services of advocate, it take the services of any service which or any goods which are covered under RCM. Now my question is, this person is not required to take registration as per the notification. But RCM is covered under mandatory registration, that is section 24. Now tell me, which one will prevail, notification or 24? In this case, what would be the answer? Okay, tell me what would be the answer. Tell me what would be the answer. Whether is required to take mandatory registration or not because of the notification. Why mandatory? Why mandatory? I'm asking the question, why mandatory? You just now told that notification issued in the 23.2. The notification issued in the 23.2, the notification issued in the 23.2 override the 22 as well as 24. Then why you are saying it is mandatory as per section 24? The notification, Saminathan ji, the notification says that registration not required. Whether my question is clear to you or not. Notification does not talk on RCM, right? Right. Correct. Absolutely correct. Notification, my interested. Correct. Very true. Very true, Yogesh. Nicely explained. Nice, Gita. Notification will override only if there is a contrary provisions. He is making the service interstate. Section 24 clause 1 says mandatory registration. Notification says does not mandatory required. Then which we will prevail? Notification. But the inward supply covered under RCM, it is written in section 24 clause 3. It is written in section 24 clause 3. Whether notification and section 24.3 are contrary to each other? Answer is notification does not talk about anything on the RCM. Notification does not talk about anything on the RCM. Therefore, these both will, if compared, then section 24 will prevail. So answer is, अगर वो contrary हैं, जैसा कि मैंने आपको 24 clause 1 के लिए बताया, then notification will prevail. If they are not contrary, then section 24 will prevail. The answer is, in this example, the supplier has to take, the chartered accountant has to take mandatory registration. I hope it is clear. ठीक है. Saminathan, everyone, Sanjay, I hope it is clear, right? ठीक है. Now, second, casual taxable person making the taxable supplies, that we will read in this chapter in more detail. So casual taxable person, you all know. Suppose I am going to Delhi. I am from India and I'm going to Delhi for making the taxable supplies in the trade fair. And I does not have any permanent place in Delhi. Then I can go for CTP, casual taxable person, and take the registration. Clause 3 we have already talked about. Person who required to pay the tax under RCM. Correct, before 5 days. Same NRTP, the provision of the CTP, casual taxable person, and provision for NRTP is almost same. Their registration would be valid for maximum 90 days. They need to pay the tax on advance, etc. Okay. Can NRTP take the ITC? Whether NRTP is eligible to take ITC? This question pertains to section 17, subsection 5. Great, Sanjay. Only on import of goods or services, or both? Import of goods or import of services, or both? On which component he can take the ITC? The answer is he is allowed to take the ITC on import of goods. He is allowed to take the ITC only on import of the goods. Go and refer the section 17, subsection 5. If you have any doubt. Then e-commerce operator required to take registration, mandatory. ठीक है, let's discuss. Let's discuss. We'll take the break of 10 minutes. Shall we take the break of 10 minutes and we'll resume at 8:15? We'll resume at 8:15. ठीक है. अशोक जी, break start. We were talking about e-commerce operator. So multiple point I will ask and then you will clarify and then we'll read the provisions. ठीक है. Mr. A is supplier of goods, making the supply through Amazon to Mr. B. This is my example. Now, question 1. Whether Mr. A need to take mandatory registration or he can enjoy the threshold limit of the 40 lakhs if he is supplying the goods within the state. Whether he need to take mandatory registration or he can take the limit of the 40 lakhs for registration. Sanjay has given the answer. Yogesh has given the answer. What about others? Samyanathan, Geeta. Whether Mr. A need. Okay, okay, okay. अभी क्वेश्चन मिस्टर ए के लिए. Right now the question is on Mr. A. So the answer is Mr. A earlier required to take mandatory registration, but now we can say he can enjoy the limit of the 40 lakh. Unregistered person can also make the supply. A unregistered person can also make the supply of the goods through e-commerce operator, subject to certain condition. Condition is like he cannot make the interstate supply, etc. But he need to obtain the enrollment number. I'll tell you the online so that you have the better clarity. I'll tell you the online also so that you have the better clarity. gst.gov.in. I am visiting the website gst.gov.in. Okay. Go to the services, registration. एक second, give me 1 minute. Under the user services, go to the generate user ID for unregistered applicant. So the unregistered person can do the 3 transaction in the GST. A person can do the 3 transaction in the GST without taking the registration. He need to obtain only the enrollment number. What is that? He can claim the refund. He can go for the advanced ruling. And third, supplying through e-commerce operator. If Mr. A, who is a supplier making the supply through e-commerce operator, then as per the law it is mandatory, but as per the notification issued not mandatory, then again it will prevail and therefore they have to take the enrollment number. They have to take the enrollment number. Fine. So this part you have clarified. Now let me. Why supplier 2? एक second. हाँ, okay. यहाँ पे the word through should come. Obviously through should come. through should come instead of to, like we have written here. Right? Agreed, Sanjay. Correct. Just we need to take the break of 2 minutes. We need to take the break of 2 minutes. Just allow me 1 minute. 2 minutes. अशोक जी एक बार 2 मिनट का ब्रेक स्टार्ट कर दीजिए. मिस्टर ए, अशोक जी मैं स्टार्ट करूं ना. Mr. A, who is making the supply of the services through e-commerce operator, then what is your answer? Correct. Not mandatory. Threshold will be applicable. That is 20 lakhs. Correct. Correct, Saminathan. Now tell me that ECO need to take mandatory registration. Whether ECO need to take mandatory registration? Answer is yes, if TCS is applicable. If TCS is applicable, then yes, we'll go to that. Now taking one more example. Now let's say restaurant. A restaurant making the supply through Swiggy, Zomato. 2, Mr. A is having the restaurant and unregistered person. And Swiggy Zomato, let's say he is Mr. B. Now tell me, on this transaction, whether A will pay the tax or Zomato will pay the tax. Who will pay the tax on this transaction? No. Supplier going, see, indirect tax will always be borne by the unregistered, by the consumer only, by the recipient. That is okay. But who will pay the tax to the government? Who will pay the tax to the government? A or Swiggy Zomato? But he is unregistered person. Swiggy will collect and pay. Okay. Is it two transaction or only one transaction? Is it two transaction or only one transaction? Anyone who knows about section 9.5? Anyone who knows about section 9.5? क्या कोई section 9.5 के बारे में जानता है? Just confirm yes or no. Just confirm yes or no. Not. It is not RCM. Anyone who knows section 9.5? Anyone? जिसको section 9.5 के बारे में पता है, एक बार confirm करना. नहीं. Yogesh, whether it is goods or services, if you are using the word Amazon, then Amazon will pay. No, it is not correct. Always the tax will be paid by the. Okay, fine. Let me clarify. Now let me clarify. Issue are two categories of the. I can divide the issue in two categories in the GST. I can divide the issue in the two category in the GST. No problem. No problem. मैं योगेश क्लैरिफाई कर रहा हूं complete concept about the issue. Issue can be divided in two categories. First category is the section 52 and second category is the section 9 subsection 5. What is the difference? He will collect the TCS. He will collect the TCS on the supply which is routed through his platform. Through. He is not the supplier. It means the tax will be paid always by the supplier. Tax will be paid always by the supplier. Actual supplier. Means A like to make the supply through Amazon to Mr. B. Whether it is goods or services, the tax will be paid always by A. If A is unregistered, then no tax. This part is clear. 52 wala part is clear. Now try to understand section 9.5. As of now, there are 4 transactions. In future, there is one more transaction. In short, I am writing transportation of passenger by Ola Uber like. मैं example ले रहा हूं, just we can easily correlate the provision. Fine. Hotel accommodation like MMT, make my trip. Small carpenting and plumbing services like urban company. Then restaurant, Zomato, Swiggy. Please note, I am not teaching the 9 subsection 5 because there are certain exceptions to this. Because there are certain exceptions and additional conditions are there. So I am just giving the brief so that we can read the section 24. What is the difference in this case? In this case, these mediator like Swiggy, Zomato, e-commerce operator will pay the tax as if they are the deemed supplier. 9(5) is casting the responsibility to pay the tax always by the e-commerce operator. 9(5) अगर applicable है तो e-commerce operator will be considered as deemed supplier. E-commerce operator will be considered as deemed supplier. So in my example, and no TCS will be applicable here. No TCS will be applicable here. But please note, the supply would be only one. So in my example, Mr. A is a restaurant making the supply through Swiggy Zomato to Mr. B. And it is unregistered person. The tax will be paid by the to the government by the Swiggy Zomato in this case. Where if he is registered, then also the tax will be paid by the Swiggy Zomato to the government. Swiggy Zomato need to take mandatory registration because of the 9(5) or TCS? No, it is because of the 9(5). Is it a two supply? No, it is only one supply. Only part the responsibility to pay the tax is shifted on the Swiggy. Only point the responsibility to pay the tax is shifted on the Swiggy. That's it. Is that clear? As of now, it is clear, everyone. अभी हम section 24 में जाते हैं. We'll go to the section 24. Then we'll have the more clarity. So, situation number 1. If issue is liable to collect the tax under section 52, in this case, the e-commerce operator will take the additional registration. Point to be noted. They will have the regular registration in which they are filing the GSTR 1 and 3B. In which they are filing the GSTR 1 and 3B. But if they are having the TCS registration also, liability also, then they have to take the TCS registration additionally. So in that case, like Amazon will have the two registration, one for regular category in which he is filing the 1(3)B. Second, he will have the additional TCS category of registration in which he will collect the TCS, file the GSTR 8. He will collect the TCS and file the GSTR 8. Correct? If Swiggy Zomato, who are considered as deemed supplier by virtue of the 9 subsection 5, then they will take the mandatory registration. In this case, will they take the TCS registration or will they take the regular category of registration? Answer is regular category of the registration. Because they have to file the GSTR 1, GSTR 3B, they have to pay the tax to the government. Correct? The third, now the ECO part is completed person who make the supply the goods and services other than 9(5), who is required to collect the TCS under section 52. Correct? So other than 9(5), if they are making the supply through ECO, then they have to take mandatory registration. But what are the exception? The exception is threshold limit of 20 lakh would be applicable in case of services, and threshold limit of the registration is available for intrastate supply who is making the supply of the goods through ECO. We have already discussed. From ECO perspective, please let me know for any question if you have. Fine. Let's move further. The person who is required to deduct the tax under section 51. That will normally be the government. We know that yes, the TDS provision is applicable on the government. That is okay. And government will take the registration under the TDS category and they will file the GSTR 7. GSTR 7. Point to be noted that in case of the GSTR 7, the registration can be obtained either on the basis of the PAN or on the basis of the TAN also. That we will discuss in the procedure. But yes, the registration can be obtained either on the basis of the PAN or either on the basis of the TAN. Next, person who make the taxable supply the goods or services on behalf of the other taxable person like agent or otherwise. Principal agent, it is mandatory registration. ISD, whether or not registered under the GST Act. So ISD is a separate category of registration they have to obtain. Which return they will file? We have discussed. Which return they will file? GSTR 1, 3B, 9. Which return they will file under the ISD category? GSTR 6. One question we have discussed. Suppose I am asking the different question. ISD is receiving the services from the advocate. See, I do agree that the question does not pertain to this chapter, but yes, we have discussed. Let me ask. अगर ISD को advocate से service मिला, which is covered under RCM, how this transaction would be routed? It will take 2 minutes. Please explain. It will take 2 minutes, but kindly explain. Advocate has given the service to the multiple branches, so he is under the impression that I will take the invoice in the name of the ISD, then I will distribute the credit. Okay. So Sanjay and Samyanathan, you are saying RCM. So RCM will be paid by ISD or will be a regular category, another registration? Okay. And then how the ISD can distribute the credit? Then how the ISD can distribute the credit in that case? Because ISD does not have the invoice. Then ISD does not have the invoice. How this credit would be distributed? Correct. Absolutely correct. So what happened? Let's say ISD is in Karnataka. So they have to take regular registration in Karnataka. Will pay the tax under RCM. They will transfer as cross charge to the ISD. And ISD will distribute this RCM ka ITC. This is a very long process, but yes, this is the process. Input service distributor, whether or not separately registered under the CGST Act. Every person supplying OIDAR, online information database access retrieval services from a place outside India to a person in India other than registered person. So meaning thereby, if OIDAR, online information database access retrieval services. Give me the answer to some question. Give me the answer to some question. Question number 1. If OIDAR located outside India provide the service in India to registered person, then what will happen? What will happen to the tax component? What will happen to the tax liability of this transaction? Great. The registered person will pay the tax under reverse charge. Correct. If it is unregistered person, then then OIDAR need to take mandatory registration and pay the tax as forward charge, like normal charge. OIDAR will take registration under simplified registration scheme, absolutely correct, and then they will pay the tax like normal charge. Third question, if OIDAR located in India and he is registered, making the supply the service to the registered person and making the supply to the unregistered person. If the recipient is registered, then what will happen for the tax liability? Registered, recipient is registered. Is it not under RC? Will it not covered under RC? If the recipient is registered, will it not cover under RCM? Answer is no, because supplier is located in India. Supplier is located in India. And what will happen if the recipient is unregistered? What will happen if the recipient is unregistered? No tax or OIDAR or mandatory registration by the unregistered person. Who will pay the tax? Recipient unregistered has to take mandatory registration, or tax will be paid by OIDAR or no tax? Answer is again OIDAR, because they are located in India and registered in the GST. ठीक है. Every person supplying online money gaming from a place outside India to a person in India. What is the difference between serial number 11 and serial number 12? Kindly tell me. Please give me the difference in the serial number 11 or serial number 12. Serial number 11 is which one? 12 number. You mean to say 12 number, is it? Online money gaming. Is it goods? Online money gaming is goods or services? Gaming a gaming. Is it goods or services? Is it goods or services? It is gaming. Is it still goods? Answer is yes, it is goods, because it is actionable claim. And as per the definition, actionable claim are goods. Now, will it be routed through custom? Will the game come through custom? Will the game come through custom? Answer is how can, sir? It is online money gaming. How it can through custom? Absolutely correct, Geeta. So it is goods, import of the goods, but because it does not have any control of custom, so the liability would be on the supplier online gaming, money gaming service provider only, not goods. Sorry, service से goods. मैं एक बार word repeat करता हूँ. It is goods, absolutely not through custom. So the online money gaming provider supplier will pay the tax as normal charge. If he is from place outside India, that is the big difference you have all highlighted. But tell me one thing. Recipient is registered person and supplier is online money gaming outside India. Who will pay the tax? In this case, who will pay the tax? Who will pay the tax? If it is online money gaming outside India, supplier is outside India and recipient in India is registered person, then who will pay the tax? I hope my question is clear. Online money gaming supplier is located outside India, giving the supply in India to the registered person. Who will pay the tax? The answer is online money gaming. Why? Reason number one, it is not import of service. In case of the import of service, no, Samyanathan, no. It is not covered under RCM because RCM is covered in the import of service, not import of goods. Therefore, in case of the import of the goods, and please note, see, they have written the word other than registered person in the serial number 11. They have written the word other than registered person because they know that OIDAR is a service. When they supply to the registered person will pay the tax under RCM. But that is the things not happen in case of the online money gaming. If online money gaming supplier is outside India, then they will provide the supply to any person in India, whether registered or unregistered. They have to pay the tax like normal charge. Is that clear? Then they will have to take registration. Correct, Saminathan. Like simplified registration scheme, it is written in the mandatory category of registration. They have to take mandatory registration and pay the GST on normal charge. They will reissue the tax invoice. Correct. So Saminathan, it is clear, right? Is it clear? Check. Such other person or the class of the person as may be notified by the recommendation of the council. ठीक है. Now person who is not liable to take registration as per section 23. The person who is exclusively engaged in the supply of the goods or supply the service which are not liable to tax are wholly exempted. Can you give me the example of not liable to tax? Which are the transaction that is not liable for tax? I can give the one name that is non-taxable supplies also. Now, can you give me the example of this not liable to tax? Give me all the three line item. One is 5 specified petroleum product. I can say petrol, diesel, etc. Fully agree. No handicraft. No notified goods. So Sanjay, the answer given by the Sanjay I have taken in the point number 2, but still point number 1 and point number 3 is pending. Alcoholic liquor for human consumption, and recently they have added ENA. No, Sanjay, tobacco is taxable. Tobacco is taxable in the GST. Ethyl neutral alcohol, correct? ठीक. So if any person who is having only liquor shop, no job worker, Geeta, no. Job worker is taxable supplies. Only part, if it is below threshold limit, then not liable to take registration. Here we are talking about non-taxable supplies. Here we are talking about non-taxable supplies. Supply which are exempted in the GST that we have discussed multiple. Even if I have the 1 crore ka turnover from the exempt supply, do I need to take registration? No. If I'm agriculturist, if I'm an agriculturist, then do I need to take registration? If I'm an agriculturist, do I need to take registration? To the extent of the produce out of the cultivation of land. तो जो भी cultivation of land, like खेती बाड़ी, if I'm doing the cultivation of land and making the supply, then I'm not required to take the registration. But apart from that, let's say I'm doing the stock breeding, ठीक है, मुर्गी पालन, then I have to take registration if it is exceed threshold limit. Further, it says that specified category the person as notified. Can you tell me two category of the notifications? Two notification which are covered in this particular not liable to take registration. Used in alcoholic manufacturing process. Right. Right, Saminathan. Absolutely correct. First is only RCM supplies. Any notification which you can recall, and believe me, directly or indirectly, we have discussed two notification. Directly or indirectly, we have discussed two notification in this today class. But Yogesh has told apart from that, super. Very nice. Only RCM supplies. What should I write, Yogesh? Outward ki inward? Should I write the word outward or should I write the word inward? Right, beta. Only outward supply covered under RCM. Any other? I am asking two notification which I have covered in the class. No? Fine, no problem. Just go back section 24. If I'm making the supply the service through e-commerce operator, do I need to take registration mandatorily? No, because I would be covered in the 23(2) ka notification. If I'm making the supply the goods through ECU, do I need to take registration mandatorily? Again, answer is no. I was covered in the notification. If I'm making interstate supply the goods, no. If I'm making the interstate supply the service, not required to take registration mandatorily, covered in the notification. Similarly, you will read casual taxable person if they are making the supply of the handicraft goods and supply of the specified goods. Supply the specified goods and handicraft goods, जिसके लिए they for that handicraft goods they prepared the e-way bill, then again they will not fall in this category. These are the notifications issued in the 23(2). Now let's read one by one. This is the language So just quickly tell me कि the notification will override section 24 or section 24 will override the notification. Who will override? Whatever the notification has been issued, will that notification override section 24 or section 24 will override the notification? The answer is notification will override. What you are saying? We had a lot of example. Notification issued for services, but section 24 says that goods and services both are covered in the mandatory. Who will override? Answer is notification, because we can do the supply the service interstate without taking the registration. Correct. तो अगर provision contrary है, what should be your answer? If the notification and the section 24 are contrary to each other, in that case notification will override. If they are not contrary, then 24 will override. हाँ, correct. Because of this, the notification we are talking about, the notification whatever it is being issued, that will be under 23(2) only. ठीक है. Now let's move further the notification. So person making only reverse charge supplies, any person exclusively engaged in the making the metal scrap will not be exempted from registration. However, any person exclusively engaged in the supply the metal scrap will not be exempted from registration if cross the threshold limit. So the metal scrap is also covered under RCM, right? Is also covered under RCM, but for that there is a different capping. So if metal scrap is a service provider supplier, then in that case, once it cross the threshold limit, then no more RCM, it will be the forward charge. Person making the interstate taxable supply of services 20 lakhs, handicraft goods and notified handmade goods up to 20 lakh. However, in the case of interstate supply, have been exempted from registration if it is supplying the notified goods and predominantly used by the some machinery. So let me repeat again. Person making the interstate taxable supply of notified handicraft goods and notified handmade goods up to 20 lakhs. However, in the following case, person making interstate supply the goods have been exempted from registration if they make interstate supply of the notified, and if it is notified, then it should be made by the craftsman, predominantly by hand, even though through some machinery may also be used in the process. Casual taxable person making the supply the notified handicraft goods and notified handmade goods up to 20 lakh. Again, person making the supply the service up to 20 lakh through ECO. Person making supply the service through an ECO up to 20 lakh. Person making the supply of interstate supply of the goods. No, intrastate supply of the goods through ECO whose aggregate turnover up to threshold limit. Correct. Again, interstate supply of the goods through ECO with an aggregate turnover up to threshold limit. Intrastate supply the goods through an ECO. So this is copy. This is copy. Wrongly copy paste. Okay. I hope it is clear. I hope it is clear. Now let's take a break of 5 to 7 minutes. We'll take the break of 5 to 7 minutes and then we'll resume. We'll resume 9-5. Asuk. Commission agent as per AMC Act Circular 57 we are reading. It says that as per section 24, the person is liable if he make the supply, taxable supply on behalf of another taxable person. Commission agent under APMC make the supply on behalf of agriculturist who is not a taxable person if he supply produce out of the cultivation of land. Therefore, the commission agent who make the supplies on behalf of the non-taxable person is not liable for compulsory. He need to take only when the turnover exceeds the threshold limit. Section 25, subsection 1. Now we are moving to the procedural part. So we have completed the section 22, 23 and 24. If the person who is liable to be registered under section 22 or section 24, what happened? Then he need to take the registration in the every state from where he is making the taxable supplies, and time limit is within 30 days. If the casual taxable person and non-resident taxable person like to make the supply, they have to take the registration in at least 5 days in advance prior to the commencement of business. Every person who make the supply from the territorial water of India, then he need to take the registration in the coastal state or UT. Nearest point of the appropriate baseline is located within 30 days. Procedure: one registration, one state. Separate registration for different place of the business may be granted. So this part is optional. This part is optional. Like in my example, in Delhi, I have the two places of the business. One is CP, one is ITO. I have the choice. I have the choice that I can take two separate registration, one for ITO, one for CP, or I can have one GST registration and add this location as an additional place of business. Okay. The composition levy in case of the separate registration for multiple place of the business within the state. Okay. That we will discuss. Now, voluntary registration. If you like to take voluntarily registration, no problem. So my turnover does not exceed the threshold limit, no problem. I can go and take voluntarily registration. What is the distinct person? 25 subsection 4 and 25 subsection 5. A person can obtain the registration in more than one registration against same PAN, whether in one state or more. Then these registration will be called as distinct person. Similarly, where a person who has obtained or required to obtain registration in a state or UT in respect of an establishment, then establishment in another state will be treated as an establishment of distinct person. Whether PAN number is required to take the registration, answer is yes, it is required. But I told you that one is NRTP. Registration can be taken by NRTP on the basis of other prescribed document that we will discuss later on. And then second is the person required to deduct the TDS can go and take the registration on the basis of the tax deduction and collection account number. UIN. If you read the definition of the registered person, they exclude the UIN. What does it mean? The UIN is not considered as a registered person. Further, any specialized agency of the United Nations organization or multilateral financial institution, organization is notified under the United Nations, consulate, embassies, and any other person notified by the commissioner, they require to obtain the UIN. Main purpose of the UIN to claim the refund. Whether UIN is making the taxable outward supply? No. If they like to make the taxable outward supply, then they will come under the registration category once exceed threshold limit. So why they take the UIN? So the UIN would be taken when they purchase from the registered person. It will come in the inward statement. They have to file the inward statement GSTR 11 RFD 10 for taking the refund. And UIN is a centralized number. This part I have already clarified. So UIN is not considered as a registered person, thus it is not a taxable person. The proper officer may, on submission of application or after receiving the recommendation from MEA, Ministry of External Affairs, assign the UIN and issue the certificate within 3 days, 3 working days. Have you heard that new scheme of registration within 3 days or something like that? Regular category I'm talking about. Have you heard? Correct. Now as per the recent council meeting. So again, it is not part of my exam, nothing to do with that. But only I'm talking about the practically that yes, now they are planning to start the new concept that once you apply for registration, then my system will approve the registration. Oh my God. And you can pass the some amount of there will be the restriction on amount of the ITC to be passed on. That is okay. But otherwise, the system will grant the registration. That is very good thing. Correct. Suo motu registration by the proper officer. By the proper officer, section 25, subsection 8, read with rule 60. Where pursuant to any survey, inquiry, inspection, search, or any other proceeding in this act, the proper officer find that person liable for registration has failed to apply for such registration. The proper officer find that a person was liable but failed to apply. Such officer may register the said person on a temporary basis and issued an order in the prescribed form. Such person shall either submit an application in prescribed form within 90 days from the date of the grant of the temporary registration or file an appeal against temporary registration. So first he will submit an application in the prescribed form within 90 days from the date of the grant of the temporary or file an appeal against that temporary registration. Okay. Case 2, if the appellate authority uphold the liability of registration, application for the registration shall be submitted within 30 days from the date of the order. The procedure for obtaining the registration as prescribed in the Rule 8, Rule 9, Rule 10. What is the Rule 8, Rule 9, Rule 10? We will discuss. So need to file the REG1. It has to be authorized, authorized OTP through verified, etc. It has to be signed. So that all the process which is applicable for the normal category will be applicable in this case also. And the person for obtaining the registration is also applicable to the every person seeking the voluntary as well as casual taxable person. Such person shall apply for the REG1. It has two parts. Multiple processes there like Aadhaar authentication, biometric also. Nowadays they have inserted the concept of biometric. So only Aadhaar OTP will not be applicable. So if it is risk based taxpayer, okay, then it will be identified by the system. Then Aadhaar biometric authentication would be mandatory. The person need to physically visit and then do the verification. Application for registration by SEZ. Second proviso to the section 25 subsection 1. A person having unit in the SEZ or SEZ developer, then they have to take separate application as distinct from his place of the business located outside SEZ in the same state or UT. So what is the process that have been given in this? I have taken this particular screenshot of the institute only, study material. एक मिनट दीजिए खाली. So this is the process for registration. You can refer that. Very simple. So every person liable to get registered and person seeking the voluntarily, they have to file the REG1 part A. Then they have to validate by the common port. See, let me open the website, our gst.gov.in. You will have the more clarity, I think. Click on the services, go to the registration, new registration. Once you click on the new registration, in that case, you have to select under which category you like to take registration: taxpayer, deductor, collector, practitioner, NRTP, United Nations, consulate, other notified person, non-resident, online service provider, or online money gaming. So for example, if selected the taxpayer, then select the state. Okay. Then legal name of the person, let's say as mentioned in the permanent account number. I will write my permanent account number. And email address and mobile number. Whatever I have mentioned, the email address and mobile number, it should match with the income tax database. Then it will be verified through email and through OTP. So as of now they are capturing, but in future I feel that it will not be captured because they are saying that if this PAN number which is registered in the income tax, I have given some mobile number, I've given some email ID, from that it will be linked and automatically verified. This is the part A. Once part A is completed, the TRN number would be granted to you. The TRN number is not the registration number. You cannot do the business on the basis of the TRN number. So you have to fill the part B on the basis of the TRN. So once you click, you enter the TRN number, captcha, then proceed, then the screen will give you the part B detail. Part B means your other detail like place, address, details of the director, authorized signatory, primary, secondary, HSN code, SSC code, bank details, etc. That you need to add. Once you will submit part A plus part B both completed, then it will be treated as an application for registration. Correct, Saminathan. Absolutely correct. How the Aadhaar authentication be done? If it is a new registration, then while filing the application for registration. Oh, great. So you have the practical experience also. Great, very nice. So how the Aadhaar authentication done? If it is a new registration, while filing the application, the applicant get an option to whether he want to opt an Aadhaar authentication or not. He want, then click on yes. Then system will give you the authentication link on the mobile number and email ID of the promoter partner and primary signatory, which are selected by the applicant. Once the Aadhaar authentication has been successfully validated, his application will be deemed to be approved within 7 working days, and application will not be marked for mandatory visit unless the officer raise the SCN within the stipulated time period. इसका मतलब अगर मैंने आधार ऑथेंटिकेशन कर लिया, if I have done my Aadhaar authentication, in that case my physical visit will not be there unless and until officer requires. However, in case of the applicant does not opt or fail in the validation, it means he has opted for Aadhaar authentication and does not do the verification within the time, or he has not opted at all, then what happened? The time limit of 7 days will be extended to 30 days and with mandatory physical verification. Applicant who has undergo Aadhaar authentication is identified and he failed to do in the validation. Then site visit based on the data analysis and the risk parameter or the proper officer deemed fit to carry out the site visit. So in 3 cases, either officer want, or it has been identified by the data analysis and it has been identified the risk parameter. Now there is some metrics used by the GST department, not by the GST department, it is used by the GST network portal. They will calculate the risk based on the various parameters have been added in the BFA. Okay. So there is some tool which identify the risk of a taxpayer, and then based on that, physical verification or the particular site is made mandatory, or the officer if deemed fit, then he can carry out. In that case, the 7 days become the 30 days. And after approval by the officer, registration will be granted within 30 days. If not granted, then after the expiry of the 30 days, it will be deemed approved. If the tax officer issue the SCN within 30 days, then applicant has 7 working days to reply to it. The tax officer can take the further action on the reply within 7 days. If it does not take the action within 7 days, then again it will be deemed approved. So पहला deemed approval क्या हुआ? If you have done the Aadhaar authentication and then officer does not take any action within 7 days, then it will be deemed approved. Second, if you have not opted for Aadhaar authentication or fail to do the Aadhaar authentication, then it is 30 days time limit, and if the officer does not take any action within 30 days, then it will be deemed approved. Third case, in any case, if the officer issue the notice within the time limit and the recipient has taken the action within 7 days, he has given the reply, the taxpayer has given the reply, not the recipient. The taxable person who has applied for registration has given the reply within 7 working days, and again the officer does not take any action, then it will be deemed approved. There are three situations. So what is the time limit for Aadhaar authentication? So date of the submission of the application, if I have done the Aadhaar authentication, then what is the date of the submission of the application? If the applicant opted for Aadhaar authentication, then the date of the authentication or 15 days from the submission of the application in the part B of the REG 01 earlier of. So जिस दिन मैंने आधार ऑथेंटिकेशन किया या जिस दिन मैंने पार्ट बी वेरिफिकेशन किया इसके 15 दिन के अंदर विच एवर इज अर्लियर that date will be considered as a date of application, because if you do not do the authentication within 15 days, then it will expire, and now the registration would be granted with mandatory physical site verification. Whose Aadhaar number shall be verified? If it is an individual, then individual ka Aadhaar. If it is other than individual like partnership, karta, managing director, etc., तो किसका होगा? Karta, managing director, whole-time director, such number of the partner, member of the managing committee, board of trustee, authorized representative, authorized signatory, such other class of the person. Risk-based, risk-based biometric Aadhaar authentication of the applicant. This is not the Aadhaar authentication simply through OTP. No, it will need the visit to the department notified office. An applicant who has opted for Aadhaar authentication and is identified by the common portal based on the data analysis and the risk parameter. Who will calculate this data analysis and risk parameter? GST system. Then it will be followed by the biometric based Aadhaar authentication and taking the photograph of the applicant, where applicant is individual. If it is other than individual, then like director, etc., along with the verification of the original copy of the document uploaded with the application forms at one of the notified facilitation center. Acknowledgement shall be issued to the applicant only after completion of the biometric based authentication. If the applicant does not opt for authentication of Aadhaar number, see situation number 1, where the applicant opt for the authentication of Aadhaar, then what is the date of application? Earlier of below 2. If the applicant does not opt for Aadhaar authentication, then the application of the person who has not opted for authentication shall be followed by taking a photograph of the applicant, where the applicant is individual, of the notified individual mentioned in E above. Okay. What is the E? E is this person. So we will not repeat again and again. So they have fixed this karta, managing director, whole-time director, managing committee, trustee, etc. तो अगर इंडिविजुअल है तो उसका दैट इज ओन, एंड अदर देन इंडिविजुअल लाइक पार्टनरशिप फर्म, दैट ट्रस्ट और बीओए एसोसिएशन और एनी कंपनी एटसेट्रा बॉडी कॉर्पोरेट, तो इन लोगों को अपना आधार ऑथेंटिकेशन करवाना होगा. सॉरी, हाँ, तो to the applicant where the applicant is not an individual, along with the verification of the original copy of the document, and at one of the facilitation center, the application shall be deemed to be complete only after completion of the process letter. So they have, first we are talking about person who has taken the new registration, correct? first we have talked about new registration, new applicant. Now we are talking about existing registration. A person who has issued the certificate of registration shall undergo authentication of the Aadhaar of proprietor, partner, karta, managing director, any of the member, trustee, and of the authorized signatory. It means two category of the person. One, who is this proprietor, partner, karta, etc. Also, they have to verify, they have to do the authentication of the Aadhaar for the one authorized signatory at least. Is it become mandatory? As of now, not. But they are saying that two things, rather I should say three things, cannot be done if Aadhaar is not authenticated. For the existing I'm talking about. Who are the three? What are the three transactions which cannot be done without Aadhaar authentication? If my registration is cancelled and I like to file the revocation application, it cannot be done unless and until it is Aadhaar authenticated. Second, refund of input tax credit. If I like to take the refund of input tax credit, then again, it is mandatory for Aadhaar authentication. Or refund of ITC, one thing, and refund of IGST paid on export of goods, okay, or services, whatever. So I can say whenever I like to take the refund or whenever I like to go for the revocation, in these two cases, it is mandatory to have the Aadhaar authentication for existing. If where Aadhaar number is not assigned, okay, and I am a new applicant, then it will offer the alternative and visible mean of identification. Okay. Then again, the same concept, 30 days after physical verification, etc. So I am leaving this particular part. Okay, you can, rule 10b. What is the rule 10b? Rule 10b says that if Aadhaar number is not assigned to the existing, such person shall be offered alternative mean, or such manner will be Aadhaar enrollment ID or bank passbook, etc. Okay. Section 25 subsection 6d is exempting from Aadhaar authentication if you are not a citizen of India, department or establishment of state government or central government, local authority, statutory body, PSU, and UIN. These persons are exempted from Aadhaar authentication. Furnishing of the bank details, that a taxpayer has an option to give his bank detail after obtaining the registration within 30 days. Prior to that, they are accepting the bank detail at the time of application. So if I am a company, then I can add the bank detail of director. But now this is not the case. You can take a registration first and then go for the bank account. After opening the bank account, you have to add the bank detail within 30 days by amending the existing registration. The time limit is 30 days from date of the registration or date of furnishing the outward supply, whichever is earlier, meaning thereby I cannot furnish GSTR1 if I have not authenticated the other the bank account. I have not added the bank account. However, this relaxation is not applicable for those who have been granted the registration as TDS or TCS or suo motu under Rule 16. These are mandatory to add the bank account detail at the time of application. So from this, we will do in the next class. If you have any question, you may ask, unmute yourself. Else, we will start the quick round, the question answer. And अगर आपका कोई doubt है तो पूछ लीजिए पहले. Just I'm giving you 2 minutes, and then we'll start the slowly. We will do the multiple question answer. I will share this slide and it will be uploaded on the login details. Whatever. Any question? It appears no. चलो सर start करते हैं. Shall we start the quick round of the question answer? If I am making interstate exempted supply of the goods, what is the threshold for registration? If I am making interstate exempted supply of the goods, what is the threshold limit? Can I do without registration or I have to take mandatory registration? Answer is no registration. No registration required. Why? I have used the word exempted supply. Only exempt supply, right? Correct. In the calculation of aggregate turnover, will the bank interest be added? So then what is the case which we talked about that bank interest will not be added or something like that? What is the additional provision with respect to interest or discount? Long-term loans, the discount interest. What is the provision? No, I'm not talking about composition. I'm talking about only regular. मैं composition की बात नहीं कर रहा हूं, मैं सिर्फ regular की बात कर रहा हूं. What is the provision we talked today with respect to interest? Correct. If it is an interest which is service, but it will still continue to opt to have the benefit of the 40 lakhs if otherwise you are doing the exclusive supply of the goods. Very nicely explained. Yeah, very nicely explained. So Yogesh is saying even if it is added, if it supplies me exclusively, yes. Even if I'm earning the interest, then also it will be treated as exclusive supply of the goods. Very nice. Any two person who are not who are exempted from Aadhaar authentication. हाँ, authority, local authority, statutory body, not citizen of India, right? And UIN, government, state government, central government. ठीक है. You have covered everything. If I am doing the business in SEZ in UP and outside SEZ in UP, can I have the one registration or do I need to take two registration? The answer is you need to take two separate registration. You need to take two separate registration. Now, in case of ECO, which considered as deemed supplier under section 9(5), then who will pay the tax, whether supplier or ECO or receipt or only two? Who will pay the tax to the government? Actual supplier or ECO? The answer is ECO will pay the tax. Answer is ECO will pay the tax. Will it be added in the aggregate turnover of the ECO? This is new point which I'm adding. The sale will be counted the sale of actual supplier or sale of that ECO. This particular turnover would be added in the AAT of the supplier or AAT of the ECO. Very nice. It is considered the sale of actual supplier. It will not be added in the aggregate turnover of right, not the aggregate turnover of ECO. What is the second type of the ECO? Which category is the other? What is the other category of the ECO? One is the 9(5). What is the other category? Section 52 TCS. Section 52 TCS. Correct. Now, if I am making the supply of the goods through TCS ECO, do I need to take mandatory registration? Limit would be applicable? No, Sanjay ji, let me repeat my question. If A is making the supply of the goods through Amazon within the state, then is it mandatory? Is it mandatory? Just limit would be applicable. He can enjoy. Can he make the interstate supply? Can he make the interstate supply through Amazon, Flipkart, etc.? The answer is no. There are certain restriction. There are certain restriction, but yes, he can supply the goods within the state through Amazon. But in that case, they have to take some additional things. What is that? Through the GST portal. They have to take some additional things. What is that? Through GST portal. the enrollment number. We have discussed the three things can be done without GST number. The three things can be done without GST registration. An unregistered registered person can do the three category of the things after obtaining the enrollment number. Can you tell me? Refund. One is refund. One is sale in e-commerce, sale through e-commerce. Yes. And third one, there is one more thing. Correct. Total three categories of the. One is advanced ruling, application for advanced ruling. Again, that is not important, but I like to tell only the within how many days I have to add the bank detail. Within how many days I have to add the bank details? 30 days from which date? 30 days from C. It is not straightforward 30 days. It will be 2 date, whichever is earlier. It will be 2, whichever is earlier. 30 days from the 30 days from the 30 days from the correct registration, and again that whichever is earlier, outward supply, whichever is earlier. Correct, absolutely correct. Now, if I'm an e-commerce operator, I am not covered in the 9.5. I am not covered in the 9.5. So some person is making the supply of the goods or services through me, and sometime I also make the supply of the goods. Wait, let me change my question. I am Amazon. Okay. Mr. A is making the supply of the goods through me. He is a registered person. And I am raising the invoice to Mr. A for the commission part. I will take the commission. Now. If I'm giving the platform to the Mr. A, then will I take the commission or not? I will take something. Now think I'm Amazon and I am taking the commission and I am allowing the supply through my platform. Which category of the registration Amazon will apply? For which category the registration Amazon will apply? Assume the threshold is increased. Threshold and everything is being increased. Which category of the registration? Which categories of the registration Amazon will take? I am not covered in the 9.5. I am not covered in the 9.5. Only one category or two category? I'm not asking compulsory. I'm asking which one category or two category? Answer is two category. Two category. One is regular and another is TCS. Why regular? Because I am raising the invoice for commission. It is covered under regular category, normal charge. And if he's doing the supply of the goods or services through my platform and I'm not 9.5, then I have to obtain the TCS category. Now take an example, just changing the example. Absolutely correct. Saminathan, fully agree. Now think about I am Zomato Swiggy. Mr. A, who is a registered person, is making the supply of the food through me. And also I'm raising the commission invoice. Under which category I will take the registration? Under which all category I will take the registration? Will it be 2 or will it be 1? Will it be regular only or will it be regular and TCS both? Only. Because TCS is not applicable in the 9.5. The supplies made by Mr. A, who is a registered person, will I pay the tax or will he pay the tax to the government? Will I, being a Zomato, will pay the tax or that? Mr. A restaurant owner who is registered will pay the tax. So Samyanathan ji, this is also the marketplace. Samyanathan, this is also the marketplace. I can say only differentiation is 9.5. ECO will pay whether supplier, actual supplier is registered or not registered. It is immaterial. I, being an e-commerce operator who is considered as deemed supplier in the 9.5, will always pay the tax. Okay. Now, TCS will not be applicable in this case. Therefore, I will take not two, only one registration under regular category. Correct. Next question. If OIDAR is located out of India, if the recipient is registered, who will pay the tax? If online information database access retrieval services provided from location outside India in India to the registered person, who will pay the tax? Correct. The taxable person will pay the tax under RCM. Recipient, taxable person, the registered person who is receiving the service will pay the tax under RCM. And if it is unregistered person, then recipient is unregistered, then answer is OIDAR. Can OIDAR take the threshold limit ka benefit 20 lakhs and then if exceed then he has to take registration? Answer is no limit. No limit. Absolutely correct. No limit. In this case, no limit. Next is that one more transaction we have discussed OIDAR. What is that? I've missed the name. What is that? OIDAR के बाद में एक और ट्रांजेक्शन था वैसे मिलता जुलता, मैं नाम भूल गया. कैन यू टेल मी? Online money gaming. Is it goods or services? You have clarified multiple times, but again I am asking multiple times. Why it is goods? Why it is goods? Because it is actionable claim. It is actionable claim. If online money gaming provider supplier is located outside India and I'm a recipient in India, is it import of goods or import of service? If recipient is registered, then what? If recipient is registered, then who will pay the tax? It is immaterial that recipient is registered or unregistered. Always the tax will be paid by OMG, online money gaming. If I'm doing the business in territorial water, in which state I need to take registration? If I'm doing the business in the territorial water, nearest state or UT where the nearest point of the baseline is located. Check. If I will go for other authentication, then within how many days the registration would be granted? 7 days ke 7 working days? 7 days या 7 working days? Working days. 7 working days. And if not other authenticated, then? If not other authenticated, then 30 days. 30 days. Correct? 30 days. Correct. 30 days. Can you tell me in which 3 cases for existing registration Aadhaar become mandatory? Hello? One is so there are two category. There are two category of the refund. One is ITC ka refund and one is ITC ka refund. One is export ka refund, IGST paid ka refund. And then if I revocation of cancellation, ठीक है. So, ma'am, would you like to? Swati, ma'am, are you there?
नो सर.
ओके, ठीक है, व्यूअर्स आप ही हैं. ठीक है, ठीक है,
यस सर.
चलेगा. So, that is not mandatory. That is mandatory. If it is existing, then in that case it become mandatory. If ISD, that is okay. And if give me if I am casual taxable person, in which case I am not fall under mandatory category. In which case I will not fall under mandatory category. In which case I will not fall under mandatory category of registration if I am a casual taxable person selling the handicraft goods or notified goods. In that case, it is not mandatory. Correct? Now tell me some notification of 23 subsection 2 which I have talked about. Now there are multiple notifications we have talked about. Now tell me the notification. 5, 4, 3, 2, whatever you can recall. Only 1 minute. Maximum, whatever you can tell, please tell me. The notification of the 23.2 of which importance is, importance की बात करते हैं. Let me ask that last question. Interstate supply of service, absolutely correct. Commission agent of agriculture, no. Saminathan, that was not notification, that was circular clarified in the 57. That was a circular which has been clarified in the 57. Okay, what about other things? Supplier through e-commerce operator, then limit would be applicable, absolutely correct. Geeta, job worker, handicraft goods, no. Job worker, right. Handicraft goods, right. Sorry. Handmade goods, absolutely correct. Yogesh, supplier by, that is correct. Any other things which I have missed? Fine, thank you. Now tell me, this is important point. Whenever we talked about this notification, in which category notification will prevail? Section 24, and in which case section 24 will prevail over the notification. मेरा क्वेश्चन बड़ा सिंपल है कि that in which case the notification will override the section 24 and vice versa when the section 24 will override. दैट इज माई लास्ट क्वेश्चन. ये बात हमेशा याद रखना. इट इज might not be so much important for exam, but practical life it is too much important. The word contrary. The word contrary. ठीक है. So in case of the contrary, then notification will prevail. Otherwise, section 24 will prevail. Can you give me one example when the section 24 will prevail? One example. न्यू लर्निंग. यस, एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट. ये तो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है जो मुझे लगता है स्टूडेंट के टाइम पे ना हम वी आर नॉट नॉर्मली गिविंग द सो मच इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ दिस टाइप ऑफ द वर्ड. करेक्ट ना? सो करेक्ट. सो can you give me any one example of section 24 will override? I can say that RCM. Correct, RCM. So from my side, today class is completed. Now, if you have anything to ask, otherwise, thank you so much. Thank you very much. Goodbye to all of you. Asuk ji. Thank you. Asuk ji, मेरी तरफ से यहाँ session over. Thank you. Same to you.